It's no secret at this point that I really liked creepypastas. Oh. Do I really need to explain how much I enjoyed creepypastas back in the day? I literally made a video on my main channel back in 2020 about creepypasta games. And if you haven't seen it yet, why don't you add it to your bookmarks to watch after this video? About a year ago, I got curious and thought to myself, I may have played a bunch of the games based on the creepypastas in question, but I haven't actually read them. Let's read them to see if they're any good. The results kind of varied. Tonight, I've compiled a comprehensive list of 4 iconic creepypastas that I've read with friends for your viewing enjoyment. The individual videos will be linked in the description, but this is for you guys searching for videos to have dinner to or sleep to. If you want me to read more creepypastas with guests, leave a comment down below with some suggestions and opinions on the creepypastas that I've read. At 6,666 likes, maybe I'll read the top commented creepypasta and make fun of it. Subscribing to the channel is optional but encouraged, and at the end of the video, a card will take you to another one of my uploads. That's enough from me. Enjoy the video. Good evening, everyone. I hope I didn't give you a heart attack, because if I gave you a heart attack, then what's the point in me streaming? How are you watching this? You are dead. Unless you're watching this from the afterlife, and if you are, then I hope the drinks are nice there. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, you guys are probably wondering what we're playing today. And what we're playing today is something a lot different than what I usually do. It's going to require a lot of context. And for the context to work, I'm going to introduce today's special guest. And they are in the next screen. And today we are joined by a new voice, or the same voice, depending on when the video is out.
Hello.
Welcome.
What's up?
As you can see, there's absolutely nothing on the screen, but that's because we are going to be delving into creepypasta hell. I still think the worst creepypasta is still Jeff the Killer. I still, to this day, don't understand how it got popular. Some people in chat kind of enlightened me as to how it got popular, and it was just people shipping Jeff with other creepypasta characters, which weirded me out, because isn't Jeff 13?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jeff is like,
maximum 15. Before we attempt to fix the creepypasta, we must first read the creepypasta. We are now going to read a copy of Jeff the Killer. I went on to creepypastas.com, and did you know the really funny thing about the creepypasta is that it's actually really hard to find properly. You have to go onto Google and type in a bunch of entries to even get a copy of the text creepypasta, because it got deleted from the creepypasta wiki for being too shit. I find that really funny. Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. I think we should mark this thing live as well. We're like English teachers with hiccups. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story.
I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. No child I know says once more.
Once more?
No child I know says once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me.
See that?
Oh my god.
That doesn't make any sense. Are you telling me that this guy climbed in through the window and he didn't notice? I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of 2 eyes. These weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes.
No child has this vocabulary. These are big words for a child. What?
A young boy, they said. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up.
Sweet Jesus.
The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. He said it! A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak.
He said...
Say the line.
Go to sleep.
Yeah!
I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted it.
Busted is like, what the
going on in here?
What's going on in here? Stop playing gruff, Jonathan!
I went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police.
Wait. Hold up. He threw the knife and it went into his dad's shoulder. I can imagine his dad just busts in the door. He's just like, what the fuck? He just throws the knife immediately.
What the fuck?
They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face, those cold, evil eyes, and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head.
So this is all just an eyewitness testimony?
Yeah.
Every bit of this. This kid is like monologuing this.
That's
like,
a full monologue. That's like...
That's...
Four, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Like...
That's a 4-paragraph monologue. He's gifted, yeah. Imagine it's just like, instead of just a regular testimony who was told to write it in an English exam. You know how English teachers are always like, what if the guy just likes flowers? Why do we have to make things so complicated? Well, the flower is an allegory for the trials and tribulations of gamers in 2011. I remember my English teacher just constantly talking about sexual connotations in one of the books that I had to read for GCSE. It was really weird.
Police are still on the look for this man. I bet they are, because they can't find shit. If you see anyone that fits the description in this story, please contact your local police department.
So this is the actual story now. So who actually documented this is the real question. Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Leo couldn't complain though. A new, better house? What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by.
Hello,
She said.
I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I just want to introduce myself and introduce my son.
She turns around and calls her son over.
Billy, these are our new neighbors.
Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard.
Well, said Jeff's mom, I'm Margaret. This is my husband Peter and my two sons Jeff and Leo. They each introduced themselves and then Barbara invited them to that quick? Oh yeah, we just moved in. You want to come to a birthday party?
You know, I mean, they call it Southern hospitality for a reason.
They each introduced themselves and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his Grammar error!
When Jeff and his family are done.
We're done. When Jeff and his family finished packing.
Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid.
Jeff, said his mother, we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. And now we're going to that party, and that's final. Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mum said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plumped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much pain, but a weird feeling. The feeling was so weird we had to say it twice. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it.
Grammatically, actually, just real quick, said feeling 3 times in a row. You got a weird feeling. A weird feeling. Some random no. It's not. That's just.
I got a feeling. That's a
Shut the fuck up. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling.
Again, he can't stop getting that feeling.
This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Leo. Leo finished breakfast. They walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. Hey, what the hell?
The kid on a skateboard just did an ollie over them. He was like, hey, man! The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. Ooh.
That's badass.
Ooh, that's badass. The kid seems to be about 12. 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans.
Well. Looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith. Keith! Jeff and Leo looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Oh, that's not funny.
It's like how J.K. Rowling went into detail talking about how fat someone was. I went and reread the first Harry Potter book, and the way J.K. Rowling describes every movement that Dudley did in the beginning of the book, just his fat, greasy, disgusting fingers.
Oh my god.
And I, said the first kid, I'm Randy. Now for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for bus fare if you catch my drift. Leo stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes when one of his friends pulled a knife. You what? Huh?
What?
This man's 12. I have to adopt the roadman accent for it. It's like, I hope you be more cooperative, fam. I see what we do this the hard way, man. The kid walked up to Leo and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Leo gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid.
Oh man, he's pissed. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife.
Oh, what are you saying, fam? What are you gonna do, fam? Just as he finished his sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke his wrist. What is that strength? I can imagine it's like a twig. Just like...
Oh.
Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed at Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. Ooh. As he fell, he puked all over. Leo could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Wait!
Whenever I hear this, whenever I hear someone punching someone in the stomach, I just think of the scene from Smiling Friends. Jeff, how'd you... was all he said. They saw the bus coming and knew that they'd be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lee made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lee just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got the feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. These are called intrusive thoughts.
He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop and how now he probably wouldn't, and how you don't need now. Wait.
And how now, brown cow?
When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day."
Oh, fuck.
Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Jeff, these brothers tell me you attacked 3 kids.
These brothers.
That it wasn't regular fun, and that they were stabbed. Stabbed, son! Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true.
I love how his gaze fell to the floor. He's just like, Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Leo.
Son, said one of the cops, we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach. And we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Leo had been attacked, but then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. What? But then there was no proof it was not... Okay. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing, because truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Leo.
Which doesn't make any sense, because they could just say self-defense. They pulled out a shank. Did they not see the shank? If you think about it, who would believe... like 1 guy beating the shit out of 3 kids, like stabbing them? You'd have to be a ninja. I'm like, seriously? Son, call down your brother. Jeff couldn't do it since it was he who beat up all the kids.
Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Leo tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me.
The cop looked at his partner and they both nod.
Well, well, kid. Well, kid. Looks like a year in juvie. A year.
You know, this is about how it is in America.
A year in juvie. When was League of Legends released? Editor, can you put the release date on the screen? Did this creepypasta predate League of Legends?
No.
It'll be World of Warcraft, wouldn't it? Or maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I don't even know. Oh, League of Legends released in 2009. Okay, so... Yeah, no. League player.
League player.
Like, Your Honor. League of Legends.
Death.
Anyway. I think that's you.
That is me.
Yeah.
Wait! Says Leo. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. Whoa! The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Leo. Yeah, exactly! Exactly!
I love how they just got the weapons loaded.
Exactly. That's the most accurate thing in this story so far.
Yeah, but isn't Leo like a zygote? And no, I don't think it's that accurate. They're white.
Okay, true.
Gotcha! Anyway.
Didn't think about that one.
It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it. He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises as if he was in a struggle.
Oh,
Ow.
he didn't.
Ow, ow. Ooh, I literally looked at my own arm and was like, ow.
Son, just put the knife down, said the officer. Leo held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops.
Like, come on. How did people not hear him, like, Leo just probably, because Leo's like 11 or 12. Stabbing yourself kind of really hurts. Any form of sharp object on your arm hurts a lot. How could they not just have heard?
There ain't no way he did not, like, scream.
Unless the house is big enough for them to not hear it. Imagine you just hear in the distance just like, ow! No! Leo, it was me! I did it! Jeff had tears running down his face.
Oh, poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away.
The police led Leo out to the patrol car.
Take him away. Leo, tell them it was me. It was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders.
Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Leo. You can stop.
No, wait, no, that was Arthur Morgan. Sorry, wait. I gotta redo that. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Leo. You can stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Leo inside. See, they're even speeding. It's just like America. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong.
Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Leo when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by with no word from Leo at JDC. No friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. That is until Saturday, when Jeff is woken up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. They got over that quickly.
Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened up the curtains and let light flood into the room.
Ah! What's the day? Just ask Jeff as East. So I don't know why I do it like that.
Why, it's Billy's party. He was now fully awake.
Are you dizzy, blood? You don't expect me to go to some youth's party after? There was a long pause.
Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Okay, now get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up, his mother in a dress and his father in a suit. This is like the meme of like grandmother's funeral versus Bone Lab release trailer. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party?
Son, is that all you're going to wear? Said Jeff's mother. Advertisements. Invest in ad block, people, unless you're supporting your favorite creators.
Better than wearing too much,
he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hit it with, what the f?
The burning rage, the hatred, just like... Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression. said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room.
I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs.
Just pick out something, called his mother, veins popping from her neck. He looked around in his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it though. He looked around and found only striped and patterned shirts, none of which goes with Are you talking? Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on.
You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's just go. She said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and at it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids.
The kids are out in the yard. Jeff, how about you go meet some of them? Said Barbara.
Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. You might as well be standing in a Toys R Us.
Ah, funny.
Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat.
Hey, wanna play?
He said.
No kid, I'm way too old for this stuff. The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face.
Let's stop right there. What the fuck?
Please!
Said the kid. Fine, said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend shoot at the kids. At first, he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he'd done something that took his mind off of Liu. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him! Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred.
Hello, Jeff, is it? He said. We have some unfinished business. Jeff saw his bruised nose. I think we're even. Well, no, it's. I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you get my brother. And you get my brother sent to JDC.
Randy got an angry look in his eyes. Wait, no. We need new music for this one. I'm going to do.
Oh, yeah. That's
All right, can you guys hear it? All right. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. Oh no, I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today. As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. And oh my god. All right, Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and they both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns.
Holy What the f?
What's going on?
No one interrupts or guts will fly, they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder.
Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him.
Need some help? He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. Oh my god. As Jeff tries to stand, he's kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. Holy
Come on, Jeff! Fight me! He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass up. Holy shit.
Oh my god! Fight! He throws Jeff back into the living room.
Come on, Jeff! Look at me! Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff starts to get up.
Oh, finally! You stand and fight. Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt for a while. Finally, he's up, says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him to the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to... What?
What? So hard he died.
Holy shit.
Actual No glory kill.
As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him. Punch after punch. Blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies.
Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith, although they easily break from their gaze and point their guns on Jeff.
Oh my God.
Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Wow, these guys are shit. Hey, Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith racing, knives ready.
Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Ow. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He's more agile than Troy, though, and ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes the best he could. He pushed the back towel pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. He let out.
What's so funny? Asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. What's funny, he said, is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol. Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. Are you serious? While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. The bleach bleached his skin?
The bleach bleached his skin.
Jeff let out a terrible screech as he's caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but there was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everybody started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, drop to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother, and the other parent tried to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out.
When Jeff woke, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube in his arm. And when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in.
I don't think he can get out of bed just yet, she said as she put him back in his bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother.
Honey, are you okay? She asked. Jeff couldn't answer, though. His face was covered, and he was unable to speak. Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed to trying to attack you, they decided to let Liu go. This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two will be able to be together again.
Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family members were all there to see it, what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. They waited until the last bandage holding the cover over his face was almost removed.
Let's hope for the best, said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face.
Jeff's mother screams at the side of his face. Leo and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face.
What? What happened to my face?
Jeff said. He rushed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of the distress. His face, it's horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand to his face. It had sort of a leathery feel to it. He looked back at his family and then back at the mirror.
Bro, that's so funny. Imagine, after all those months of recovery, almost getting killed, and they're like, this is several months of recovery, and we are pleased to finally show you that we've worked on reconstructing his face. And instead of everyone just applauding on a job well done, instead of them applauding a job well done, everyone just like,
Not that bad,
said Jeff.
It's perfect.
His family was equally surprised. I sure was surprised, weren't you?
Yeah, I was so surprised.
Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching.
Jeff, are you okay?
Okay, I've never felt more happy.
Ha, 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 ha.
Look at me. This face goes perfectly with me.
He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, he may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind, his sanity snapped. Oh my lord. And now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know.
Is that really how they're gonna do it? So what caused him to laugh like this? Well, you may recall, you f***ing idiot,
He
that
went
when Jeff...
bat insane like 5 minutes ago. Don't you know, you dumb bitch, idiot?
Alright, and we're back.
Oh yes, this behavior is typical for patients that have taken very large amounts of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here and we'll give him a psychological test.
Thanks, doctor! Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. It's time to go!
Jeff looks away from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile.
Okay, Mommy. Ha! Ha!
This is what came in, said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mum looked down to see that black dress pants and white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean of blood and now stitched together. Why did they just wouldn't do that. Anyway, Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was the final
No, no!
Fucking story.
Oh, shit! It's not gonna work.
Kill Jeff's mother and father in the next paragraph.
Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. God damn.
Jeff!
God damn.
Jeff! What are you doing? Asked his mother.
Jeff looked over to his mother.
I couldn't stop smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while, but I could smile forever.
Jeff's mother noticed his eyes ringed in black.
Jeff! Your eyes! His eyes were seemingly never closing.
I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close. I burned out the eyelids so I could forever see myself, my new face.
What?
Wait, he burned off his eyelids. This bitch is dying within 2 days.
Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing that her son was going insane. I don't think he's going insane. He's insane already. Didn't they just say that he lost his sanity like 2 paragraphs ago?
Yeah, if you weren't a idiot, yeah, you say he lost his sanity. Should have read the script. Read the script. It's right here. Read the script. Yes, son. She said, yes, you are. Well, let me go get daddy so you can see your face. She ran into the room and shook Jeff Dad from his sleep. Honey, get the gun. Get the gun. She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. Mommy, you lied.
The last thing they hear is Jeff rushes them with a knife, gutting both of them.
I mean, come on. His brother Liu woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge it into Liu. Liu thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip.
Shh, Jeff said. I'm gonna say it.
Say it.
I'm gonna say it.
Say the line, Jeff!
Just go to sleep.
Yeah! That was Jeff the Killer. So, what would we actually rate this story out of 10?
Out of 10?
We need a grade. Yeah, we need a grade.
Well,
Let's
if I
grade
had
it.
to really think about it for a second, it fell into a lot of stupid tropes. Quite a bit of grammatical errors. The whole insanity trope being like, you know, I'm insane, so I'm gonna kill people. No. I would honestly give this a 3 out of 10. Because, hey, at least it was legible.
All I'm going to say, the reason why I'm giving this a 1, and the only good point that I'm giving it, the author seems to have a knack for action, for writing action. But then, you then read it a bit more, and it's like, the bleach bleached him.
Bleached him.
A thing of bleach.
Oh.
A thing of bleach. Not even a bottle of bleach. A thing of bleach. And not just that as well, you have to realize, I don't think we've realized this, the kids were 12 and 13 years of age. It wasn't even a year in juvie. It was Jeff was 13. Those 3 kids were 12. Like, but anyway, I think I'm probably gonna give this one a 1 out of 10, also known as a thing of bleach out of 10. We're gonna go and read Sonic.EXE. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had.
It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed, based actually really based. I like to get to explore the towns. Yeah, exactly. Fuck yeah. Until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside.
I looked at the note and I forgot already. No, okay, guys, don't laugh at me. I have dyslexia. Shut up. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kaya. No, let's just call him that. Who I haven't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognize his handwriting. Though what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote.
Tom. I love how his name is just Tom.
Tom.
I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. Wait, what? Just throw it out in the bin. Anyway, I can't do it. He's after me, and if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him, but do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please, Kyle.
Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. And after all, it's just a game. Right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Jesus Christ.
I looked at the disc and it looked like any other computer CDR disc, except it had a black marker on it written Sonic.EXE, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it, since I'm a big Sonic fan. Also, wait, hold on, why is A there twice? Do you see that?
Yeah,
Since I'm a big Sonic
Alright,
fan.
sorry, let me reread it. Since I'm a big Sonic fan.
I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. You went for
An idiot.
When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game. I was like, awesome! Because like I said earlier, I like the classics.
This feels like a Smosh script.
The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start, there was a split second when I saw the title image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying.
I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened. The title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666, and the water had turned red like blood. Except, okay, you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh my God.
It looked hyper-realistic.
But the freakiest thing that was in that split second, like, wait, this is confusing my brain. But the freakiest thing that was in the split second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, with 2 glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile had stretched wider up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it, though I figured that it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it got to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. And then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, WTF? What's wrong with what's this doing in the first Sonic game? Then I noticed something off. The background was the dark, cloudy sky of the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD, and there was only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse.
This is just copyright infringement.
Yeah.
And the image for the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on is just red static for all 3 files.
What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Now, I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud?
That's when I realized that this wasn't a glitchy game. It was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy. But as a smart gamer... I wasn't scared.
I told myself that it was just a hacked game, but there was nothing wrong with that. Anyways,
Shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails. When I selected and got started, grammar? Okay.
Grammar, yeah.
The game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefta guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black.
The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, then it showed the typical level title thing. Except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red and the text only showed Hill Act 1. The screen faded in and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The
Grill Zone.
The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running like you would in any other Sonic game. Classic Sonic game. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow deep tones very slowly as I kept going.
That is the worst way to say that the music was slowing down.
I suddenly saw something, and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground, bleeding. Tails had a shocked, saddened look on his face that I've never saw him have before, so I had him move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried. How can you see this in the pixels? As the music lowers and he moves past more dead animals, I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them in rather gruesome
ways.
A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and the duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit.
Me when I see a happy couple.
I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals and the music seems to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't think that's proper grammar. As a minute passed after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move. So this had to have been a cut scene.
A cut scene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was about to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. The foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder.
It's like Walter White in the car. It's like, Tails! Tails, don't go there! Don't touch
Tails!
Sonic!
Tails, the sweet and sour sauce!
Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black. With those red glowing dots, just like that title image. Thought there wasn't a smile.
Thought there was.
You can't.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, what is he referring to?
When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off.
It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?"
At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to the different level, with the level title now saying Hide and Seek.
This time, I was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire! Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me. He looked at me? and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was actually starting to get a bit freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there.
So I pressed down the arrow key as hard as I could to make him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you met Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from SA2 was playing, as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from.
Did you say down on the arrow key? Which arrow key? Because I thought he meant down. I thought he meant down on the arrow key, and I'm like, what the direction? what direction?
We're pressed to the left.
The arrow is like a D-pad. You have to press it down. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh.
That's the creepy Bowser laugh.
Right after 10 seconds have passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes.
The music changed to that suspenseful, drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying! Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying! The flying pose his sprite was making looked very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose. Bro, this is like that one page from Ready Player One, but extended across an entire creepypasta. Except it was just Sonic, and he had black and red eyes again. Only
This time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself.
Bro, pussy.
Pussy-o.
bro, what a fucking pussy.
But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror.
Blood started to come down those blackened eyes of Sonic's as a grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned to only, this time it said, "You're too slow. Wanna try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it.
I was so shocked by what had just happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best. Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next.
The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of sick, twisted joke, but despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing.
The next level looked much different. It had a ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like the Gygas theme right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did, though not as much. Rather, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall again, just like Tails, and looked as if he wasn't sure about what was going on. But I made him move anyway.
He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level. And as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. A maddening it just makes me so mad! Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metal ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this blood-stained road, but I still kept on going. How in the hell can you tell how this motherfucker looking like with that little pixels?
Suddenly as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but blacks, when the static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with When the static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with text saying, "Found you," I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time that high-pitched squealing from the Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Ugh.
Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God, get it? It wasn't, honestly. Suddenly Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch him again. And Sonic vanished again. And Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles.
Another cut. Scene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. Who the hell is Knuckles? I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds.
At least.
At least. So it could have been longer.
Another text message appeared. So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree? What the hell?
What
is going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box had Knuckles on the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray, his dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too, and he had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those are the actual characters trapped in those TV screens and the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it.
So you shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. I wish I hadn't. Because I then began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, though I was under the light. I was under the light given off by the lamp that hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us!" and why did you give us to him? And run away before he gets you too.
Run away before he gets you too.
Their cries died out, and as I then heard Sonic laugh, his laugh, it sounded a lot like the distorted Kefka laugh.
Thanks, Luigi.
You're a lot fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle, though he didn't last long.
I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice.
Won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends.
I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out of several directions.
You can't run, kid. You're in. I will go. Just like the others.
When he grabbed me and I saw his bleeding. Oh my god, that was well timed in the sub. That was well timed in the sub. When he grabbed me and I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed grinning face, I woke up with a wrong. So I don't know why. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next.
I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik. But anyway, the level title appeared again. This time it said, which I found really freaky. This time, I was in some kind of hallway. Didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it has the pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple with animated candle lights and a few dark bloodstains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above on the top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways very slowly, video game dev. But whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it. You hear that, game dev? You can barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This was the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse.
Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation when I just left him standing. He turns his head to the left and then to the right, at least twice, and then shrugs at me, as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation, you know, when you beat him at the end of the classic Sonic game and you chase him.
Yeah, you know the standard stuff.
You know.
As we continue going through the hallway,
Then I stop at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls have gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed. We? This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. How did you? Never mind. And then we headed down another flight of stairs down. This one was much longer. Took at least 1 full minute. Do you hear that, developer? 1 minute.
And then I heard that horrid Kefka laugh again. The music slowly faded out until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he now looked really creeped out, though he tried to handle it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too.
suddenly Sonic popped right in front of Robotnik the same way he did Knuckles, and then red static. Okay. The red static lasted for about 15 seconds, and then it showed a most unpleasant image. Is that one of those like stolen art things?
Unsatisfactory.
The image showed a
Hyper-realistic.
Hyper-realistic pic.
where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into black. And when I say hyper-realistic, I mean like he looked so real. You could actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur as if you touched the screen. His face, oh God. He had the most horrifying smile I'd ever seen. And that's saying something, considering I saw that image at the start of the game.
His eyes are wide and black, and once again crying blood, which also looked hyper-realistic. And then there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me! As if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the sides of his face like a Cheshire cat, except Sonic had fangs. Very sharp fangs, much like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking. Somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs if he ate some animal.
I stared at that gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face, it just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered with red static again 3 times, and on the 3rd time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded distorted. Demonic, even.
It went back to the image again, except this time there was the text again, though it was messed up. But it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I looked at since I had this game.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Good. I'm Gouda cheese.
It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic when it hit me. I realized right there and then, this Sonic was a monster, a pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented How so many descriptions. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys.
One of these names are not like the other. Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik.
Kyle. And the game is very Gateway into his chaotic and nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in.
Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. This time was much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed and drabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a Jude 7 seconds.
Jude.
Advertisements.
Then it stopped and showed nothing but black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up. Ready for round 2. Tom. The Kefka laugh now sounded more clear as if Sonic was right behind me. Played again 3 times as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back into the main menu, and this time the 3rd save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray. His mustache drooped and had blackened. His glasses broke and blood is coming from... And blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like... What the
I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they were going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog, and always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds. Maybe 25 seconds to the developer. Come on. Horrified by what had just happened.
Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one, and then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Literally drags you into hell, where he can play with you always as his toy.
I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper.
Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom!
Thanks.
I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with bloodstains under its eyes. The end. My God, that was...
Troll pasta status was deserved.
As you can tell by the title that you can see at the top of the screen, we are going to be reading Squidward's Suicide. Yep, that's right. This will be the third creepypasta video, I believe. The first one was Jeffrey Woods. The second one was Sonic.EXE. And this is also one of the most iconic creepypastas there is. I believe this is a rare case of a creepypasta being not only acknowledged by the creators, but actually canonized. They put the one image in SpongeBob SquarePants, and then they actually had to remove it. So technically speaking, it's a creepypasta in and of itself. And yep, unfortunately, we're on fandom. I know. But I guess without further ado, I just want to start off by saying, if you want an answer at the end, prepare to be disappointed. There just isn't one. Okay, so what's the point in reading this then? All right, stream over. Thank you guys for watching this creepypasta. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you. I was an intern at Nickelodeon Studios for a year in 2005 for my degree in animation. It wasn't paid, of course. Most internships aren't, but it did have some perks beyond education. To adults, it might not seem like a big one, but most kids at the time would shit themselves over it. Now, I really hate fandom. I hate you so much. Like, what's the point of this top bar? Editor, put something funny on the top bar. This is pissing me off. I'm gonna do some admin real quick.
McDonald's have a ghost in the burger.
Now, since I work directly with the editors and animators, I got to view the new episodes days before they aired. I'll get right to it without giving too many unnecessary details. They'd very recently made the SpongeBob movie, and the entire staff was somewhat sapped of creativity, so it took them longer to start up the season. But the delay lasted longer for more upsetting reasons. There was a problem with the Series 4 premiere that set everyone and everything back for several months. The thing with SpongeBob, right, is that I do recall that there was like a down period after the movie. A lot of people agree that the movie should have been where it ended, but why would Nickelodeon want to get rid of a cash cow? Most of the best episodes are before the movie. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees that the best episodes are all before the movie. Because I've seen a lot of people say, hey, SpongeBob's kind of good now. I feel like it's traded good writing with wacky faces and ADHD humor where something has to happen every 10 seconds. But that's my take anyway. Let's continue. Me and two other interns were in the editing room along with the lead animators and sound editors for the final cut. We received the copy that was supposed to be Fear of a Krabby Patty and gathered around the screen to watch. Now, given that it isn't final yet, animators often put on a mock title card, sort of an inside joke for us, with phony, oftentimes lewd titles such as How Sex Doesn't Work instead of Rockabye by Valve, when SpongeBob and Patrick adopt a sea scallop. Really now? What about the Chat, do you reckon that as a mock-up title card, one of them did like the N-word? You know that meme of that guy, that React channel, just saying, let's go. Do you reckon? Imagine that Nickelodeon Studios, and they're literally just like, all right, let's go. And they just... I can't even show you it. I'd have to censor it, but it's so funny how he's about to have the ice lolly, and then he stops, sees what's on the screen, and then incredulously just goes. Anyway, nothing particularly funny, but work-related chuckles. So when we saw the title card, Squidward's Suicide, we didn't think it more than a morbid joke. One of the interns did a small throat laugh at it. How do you throat laugh at something? Surely they should have said something like, one of the interns did a sharp exhalation from their nose. Like, what? Why can't they say one of the interns wheezed? What's a throat laugh? The happy-go-lucky music plays as is normal. The story began with Squidward practicing his clarinet, hitting a few sour notes like normal. We hear SpongeBob laughing outside and Squidward stops, yelling at him to keep it down as he has a concert that night and needs to practice. SpongeBob says okay and goes to see Sandy with Patrick. The bubble splash screen comes up and we see the ending of Squidward's concert. This is when things began to seem off. While playing, a few frames repeat themselves, but the sound doesn't. At this point, sound is synced up with animation, so yes, that's not common. I mean, couldn't it just be like the tape skipping? Or maybe just input lag? Like maybe you had it on a big screen and something, like, come on, it's just a glitch. But when he stops playing, the sound finishes as if the skip never happened. There's slight murmuring in the crowd before they begin to boo him. Not normal cartoon booing that's common in the show, but you could clearly hear malice in it. Sorry, I can't. How do you hear the malice in the booing? Just like the boo! Boo! You suck! I mean, there literally was malice in the show when the guy just goes, oh, brother, this guy stinks! Squidward is in full frame and looks visibly afraid. The shot goes to the crowd with SpongeBob in center frame, and he too is booing. Very much unlike him. Oh, hell no, SpongeBob is a hater now. That isn't the oddest thing though. What's odd is everyone had hyper-realistic eyes! There it is! There it is! Hyper-realistic eyes! There it is! They said it! They said it! Very detailed. Clearly not shots of real people's eyes, but something a bit more real than CGI. The pupils were red. Some of us looked at each other, obviously confused. But since we weren't the writers, we didn't question its appeal to children yet. What do you mean? Kids love hyper-realistic stuff. Just look at how many fans of Sonic.EXE there are nowadays. Anyway, we should have a creepypasta bingo. Hyper-realism. Character doing something not unable to look realistic. Random happens. Long-lasting device not able believed me. Content based on existing detailed break the child from nowhere. Continue something about the devil. 666 judgment. Info dump. Author. All right. Okay, Spooky Spaghetti Bingo. If you're watching this on the second channel, apologies for the flashbang. I'm not sorry. All right, generate your cards. I'm going to keep an eye on the bingo cards on another tab. Let's go and continue. Editor, cue the music. The shot goes to Squidward, sitting on the edge of his bed, looking very forlorn. The view out of his porthole window is of a night sky, so it isn't very long after the concert. The unsettling part is at this point, there is no sound, literally. No sound. Not even the feedback from the speakers in the room. It's as if the speakers were turned off, though their status showed them working perfectly. He just sat there, blinking in the silence for about 30 seconds. Then he started to sob softly. Wait. No, it's not the grammar. It's just, I can't take the sobbing softly seriously. Because, hang on, let me go and, every time I think of Squidward crying, all I think about is just this. Imagine just go like, all right, anyway, he puts his hand, tentacles, over his eyes and cried quietly for a full minute more. All the while, a sound in the background very slowly growing from nothing to barely audible. It sounded like a slight breeze through a forest. What is it with the detail in like how long things take? Have you guys noticed that? I think that would go under detailed description. All right. Next, the screen slowly begins to zoom in on his face. By slow, I mean it's only noticeable if you look at shots 10 seconds apart side by side. Like, what? His sobbing gets louder, more full of hurt and anger. The screen then twitches a bit, as if it twists in on itself, for a split second then back to normal. The wind through the trees sound. You could have just said the breeze. It's like a thing of bleach. The wind through the tree sound gets slowly louder and more severe, as if a storm is brewing somewhere. The eerie part is this sound and Squidward sobbing sounded real, as if the sound wasn't coming from the speakers, but as if the speakers were holes the sound was coming through from the other side. Realism! As good as sound as the studio likes to have, they don't purchase the equipment to be that good to produce sound of that quality. Did we put something down about devices just doing stuff that the device can't do? Is that on the bingo card? Nah, it's not. We probably should have added that. Below the sound of the wind and sobbing, very faint, something sounded like laughing. It came at odd intervals and never lasted more than a second, so you had a hard time pinning it. We watched this show twice, so pardon me if things sound too specific, but I've had time to think about them. Oh! Author foresights! Wait, from only watching it twice? I do appreciate, unlike Sonic.EXE, they have the foresight to say, hey, this is why it's so specific. But you shouldn't have to do that. A good writer wouldn't need to go into so much detail. Keep it fuzzy. The reader could fill in the gaps themselves. Anyway, after 30 seconds, after exactly 30 seconds of this, the screen blurred and twitched violently, and something flashed over the screen, as if a single frame was replaced. Jump scare! The lead animation editor paused and rewound frame by frame. What we saw was horrible. It was a still photo of a dead child! Mark that on the bingo! He couldn't have been more than 6. The face was mangled and bloodied. One eye dangling over his upturned face. Pop! He was naked down to his under where? His stomach crudely cut open and his entrails lying beside him. He was laying on some pavement that was probably a Why would you write that? Why would you write that? That's just shock value for the sake of shock value. That's a dead kid. Oh, I hear we have a bingo. We have a bingo already? Who got a bingo? Let's see. All right, let's see your bingo card. Unexplained phenomenon, poor grammar, dead child, blood, hyperrealism. That is a bingo. That is a bingo. You got lucky. Bunny boy, you got that bingo. Aha, congratulations. Here we go. Let's continue. The most upsetting part was that there was a shadow of the photographer. There was no crime tape, no evidence tags or markers, and the angle was completely off for a shot designed to be evident. It would seem the photographer was the person responsible for the child's death. We were, of course, mortified, but pressed on, hoping that it was just a sick Come on! What is it with people doing this against their better judgment? Ah, yes. It's a hyper-realistic photo of a dead child. No, it must be a joke. In an actual working environment, you'd stop it and report it instantly. Why in the hell would you go and continue watching it? That's illegal imagery. That's straight up illegal. You're gonna be put on a list. Several lists, in fact. You're gonna report that! Anyway, the screen flipped back to Squidward, still sobbing, louder than before, and half body in frame. It quite literally is that video of Squidward crying just like There was now what appeared to be blood running down his face from his eyes. Blood! All right, so we've got blood and continues against better judgment. The blood was also done in a hyper-realistic style. Hyper-realism, there it is! It was looking like as if you touched it, you'd get blood on your fingers. That's not hyperrealism. We call that RTX. The wind sounded now as if it were that of a gale blowing through the forest. There was even snapping sounds of branches. The laughing, a deep baritone, lasting at longer intervals and coming more frequently. The wind was doing what? After about 20 seconds, the screen again twisted and showed a single frame photo. The editor was reluctant to go back. We all were, but he knew he had to. No! You didn't! Fuck's sake, editor! One job! This time, the photo was that of what appeared to be a little girl, no older than the first child. She was laying on her stomach, her breasts in a pool of blood next to her. Her left eye was too popped out and it doesn't even make grammatical sense. This is beyond see me after class. This is like afternoon detention. Naked, except for underpants. You could just say eyes gouged. Her entrails were piled on top of her above another crude cut along her back. Again, the body was on the street and the photographer's shadow was visible, very similar in size and shape to the first. I had to choke back vomit, and one intern, the only female in the room, because we have to specify that is the only female in the room, there are no other femoids in the room, it's the only one, ran out. The only whackman in the room ran out. The show resumed. About 5 seconds after the second photo played, Squidward went silent, as did all sound, like it was when the scene started. He put his tentacles down and his eyes were now done in hyperrealism. That was my door, but mark hyperrealism. All right, chat, I'll be right back. He put his tentacles down and his eyes were now done in hyperrealism like the others were in the beginning of the episode. They were bleeding, bloodshot, and pulsating. He just stared at the screen as if watching the viewer. Oh! Fourth wall break from out of nowhere! From out of nowhere! A fourth wall break! After about 10 seconds, he started sobbing, this time not covering his eyes. The sound was piercing and loud, and most fear-inducing of all is his sobbing was mixed with screams. I'm gonna try and recreate that right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this, and then we're gonna play this at the same time. All right, we'll play them both at the same time. All right, here we go. So basically, what you're saying is that it sounded like this. Tears and blood were dripping down his face at a heavy rate. The wind sound came back, and so did the deep voice laughing. And this time, the still photo lasted a good 5 frames. The animator was able to stop it on the 4th and backed up. This time, the photo was of a boy, about the same age, but this time the scene was different. The entrails were just being pulled out from a stomach wound by a large hand. The right eye popped and dangling. What the fuck do you mean, popped? 3 dead kids! 3! The animator proceeded. Why would the animator continue? At this point, that's just stupid. The animator should have proceeded to call the cops. It was hard to believe. But the next one was different, but we couldn't tell what. He went on to the next, same thing. He went back to the first and played them quicker, and I lost it! I vomited on the floor, the animating and sound editors gasping at the screen. The 5 frames were not as if they were 5 different photos. They were played out as if they were frames. We saw a hand slowly lift out the guts. We saw the kid's eyes focus on it. We even saw 2 frames of the kid beginning to blink. They just couldn't look away. I love how he says, he went back to the first and played them quicker and I lost it. Like, I lost it. Ah! Imagine him just gamer raging over seeing a child, a dead kid, just ah! 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 The lead sound editor told us to stop. He had to call in the creator to see. It took you 3 dead kids to be like, maybe we should call someone. And not the cops, we're calling Steven Hillenberg. What's he gonna do? Mr. Hillenberg arrived within 15 minutes. He was confused as to why he was called down there, so the editor just continued the episode. Why couldn't you just give him the content? Once the few frames were shown, all screaming, all sound again stopped. Squidward was just staring at the viewer, full frame of the face for about 3 seconds. Exactly 3 seconds, guys! The shot quickly panned out, and that deep voice said, "Do it!" And we see in Squidward's hands a shot. Where's he got a shot? Why has he got a shotgun? He immediately puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger. Realistic blood. It's not fake blood, it's realistic. Realistic blood and brain matter splatters the wall behind him and his bed, and he flies back with the force. The last 5 seconds of this episode show his body on the bed, on his side, one eye dangling on what's left of his head above the floor, staring blankly at it. Then the episode ends. Mr. Hillenberg is obviously angry at this. 10 swap! Put a 10 swap in there! He demanded to know what the hell was going on. Most people left the room at this point, so it was just a handful of us to watch it again. Viewing the episode twice only served to imprint the entirety of it in my mind and caused me horrible nightmares. I'm sorry I stayed. The only theory we could think of was the file was edited by someone in the chain from the drawing studio to here. The CTO was called in to analyze when it happened. The analysis of the file did show it was edited over by new material. However, the timestamp of it was a mere 24 seconds before we began viewing it all. 24 seconds? So that must mean A ghost did it. All equipment involved was examined for foreign software and hardware, as well as glitches, as if the timestamp may have glitched and showed the wrong time. Finally, god damn it! Why was my? Let's go finish this. But everything checked out fine. We don't know what happened, and to this day, nobody does. There was an investigation due to the nature of the photos, but nothing came of it. No child scene was identified, and no clues were gathered from the data involved, nor physical clues in the photos. I never believed in unexplainable phenomena before, but now that I have something happen and can't prove anything about it beyond anecdotal evidence, I think twice about things. The end. So, that was Squidward suicide. What are we gonna grade that? I don't even know, man. It's very much a product of its time, but the time that it's in was dog shit. It definitely does not hold up. I'm pretty sure it was written by a 13-year-old, surely, or something. I can't see this being written by an adult. The grammatical errors, the tenses switching up, and just the really detailed descriptions, and then the fact that the author tried to cope by saying, oh, I watched it twice, so it's seared into my brain. It could have been more ambiguous. The fact they went for hyperrealism is the real problem here. If they actually made it seem like it was a real episode, that someone painstakingly went through the song and dance of animating all that, then it would be a bit more creepy. But like, that is bad. That is pretty bad. In previous episodes, I would attempt to fix this, but I feel like fixing it is a tall order, and I'd need a lot more likes to fix something like that. So the grade I'm going to be giving F-. See me after class. I have a lesson for you guys today, and the lesson is on spooky spaghettis, mortifying macaroni. I can't remember the other ones, but I do have someone with me that is going to be assisting me in this journey for this lesson, and he's right here. Say hi.
Hello, we're looking at some freaky fushili.
As an explanation as to why we're reading this now, basically what occurred was earlier this week, or was it last week? I uploaded a video on a game called The Insomnus Experiment, which was based on this creepypasta, and I asked for 2,410 likes and I would read the Russian sleep experiment. And you guys kind of got way over that. So as promised, I'm actually adhering to a promise for once in my life. We're actually going to read the Russian sleep experiment. And the thing is, I do remember this being good.
It was on the higher end of the creepypastas of the early 2010s.
I do remember the most iconic thing about the Russian sleep experiments is probably the image that's associated with it, which I'm gonna make the editor put on the screen right now. And I only just realized, like very recently, that that image is just a Halloween decoration, and they had like a picture of it in color. Let's go and read the Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. Like I said before, League of Legends. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed circuit cameras, so they had only microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. Wait, hang on, when was CCTV invented?
CCTV. That was invented by Walter Brooke actually in 1942.
So,
okay,
whoa.
no, wait. It wasn't until 7 years later in 1949 that CCTV became available commercially.
Hang on a second. This is the late 1940s, so that must be around that time. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep in, but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II.
Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained of having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted they continued to talk increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took a darker aspect after the 4-day
Wait. But before you continue, I do find it funny that this is basically everyone in the chat saying, yeah, they were Germans. This is basically what streamers do. They don't sleep, and then they start trauma dumping about 7 days into not sleeping and working on streams.
This is just the genesis of Fish Tank Live.
Oh my God! Some Hyde was behind it the whole time!
After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphone and the one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them.
I was gonna say, the fact that they stopped talking to each other and they start just whispering into the microphones, they became ASMR streamers. Imagine one guy having that idea during the experiment and they were like, hey, you know, it'd be really good if we became ASMR streamers. Let's start whispering into the microphones.
Going through this creepypasta, you can point out each level of streamer the further you go on.
Yep.
You have the poor innocent baby, the ASMR paranoid streamers, and finally XQC.
After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. What? For 3 hours straight? At what point do you I get tired of screaming after just 5 seconds.
Well, true, but remember, they're also being pumped with spooky dooky gas.
But
so
we can't just explain it away with, it's just gas.
Well, judging by the end of it, I think the gas might have made him do it.
He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather, didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphone. How do you whisper to the microphones while someone's screaming in the background? All you hear is just, ah! Ah! And like, They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The two non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and
they got them dookie out.
calmly over the glass. What do you mean pasted them calmly? That's nasty. Like, imagine you just like, all right, the ones that aren't screaming, they're like, pss, 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 pss. All right, guys, we got to do this.
They're giving you like the Riz stare, you know, giving you like the fuck me eyes as they shit on a piece of paper and smack it on the window.
Without breaking eye contact, like you're looking through the glass. I can imagine like a horror movie having that as like a jump scare where they're looking through the glass and they see people screaming and all of a sudden it's really quiet and then there's just shit on the glass.
Just like
a doom. Ah! The two non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own shit, and pasted them calmly over the glass porthole. The screaming promptly stopped. I can imagine them being so mortified that they saw them like shit and put them over the portholes that they just stopped screaming and they were just like, whoa, what the fuck?
Damn, bro, that's crazy. After 3 days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it was impossible that no sound could be coming from the 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. I can't read, remember?
You know what? It's fine. Neither can I.
On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives. They were afraid were either dead or vegetables.
MK Ultra!
They announced, "We are opening the chamber to test the microphone. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom."
To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice response.
We no longer want to be freed.
Oh my God, holy shit, who said that? Wow, fucking hell.
Hello?
Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day.
I guess you could say that's a mass debate.
I should send you out of the. I should send you out of the class for that one.
The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones and to turn the gas back
It's
on.
basically the end of a subathon where it is like, keep going, keep gifting subs. No.
The chamber was opened and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 test subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them in life. I realize that's
that's
really
a weird way. That's a
phrase.
weird way of saying it, but I get what they're saying.
The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chest stuffed into the drain at the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving, in quotes, test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted.
God damn. See, that's the thing about old creepypastas is that they all just get into like gore territory really, really quickly. But at least this one actually has like a description other than, and the blood was like so hyper-realistic, dude.
Well, I think what this does better than so many other ones is that it's not explaining the violence in a way where it's like, oh, the killer got on top of him and just started freaking stabbing him repeatedly.
Stabbing repeatedly while laughing maniacally.
The horror comes, I think, from how they got to the point that they did this.
Yeah.
Like, how did they get to the point where they were literally digging into their skin so much they turned into claws and they just fucking pulled their own skin off? That's fucking creepy.
The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed. While the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place, the skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the ribcage. They're dead. They're very dead.
Crystal meth does that to people.
Not even once. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they'd ripped off and eaten over the course of days.
I guess you could call them some hungry hippos.
Shut the fuck up. No, but why would they eat themselves?
Well,
The Russians are right there. They had some good scran over there. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. ...
To everyone's surprise, the test subject put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out.
Huh?
Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the test subjects.
Wait, he bit his balls off! He bit his balls off!
I guess you can really say that soldier had no balls.
Bro, imagine having your balls bitten off!
I mean, a little too kinky for my taste. But another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident.
Wow.
In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine derivative, but still fought like a cornered animal, breaking ribs and one of the arms of the doctors. When heart was seen to beat for 2 full minutes.
Whoa,
after,
what is that English right there? Is it when the heart was seen to beat? Okay, there we go.
When the heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the words, "more," over and over, weaker and weaker until he fell silent.
The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him to prepare him for the surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas. He was pissed. He was angry. Fucking hell. He was like, no, I'm not taking it. No, I'm not taking it. He fought furiously against his restraint when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even through the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. Oh my God. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. He just died. He just died. In the autopsy of the test subject that died in the operating table, it was found that his blood had triple the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in a struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were from the force his own muscles had exerted on them.
The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. With his vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery. He only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested, reluctantly, they try the surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should not be medically possible for the patient to still be alive.
And yet,
one terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers.
Oh, that's not good.
When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeons and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting.
That was what led to the jump scare in the Insomnius experiment, and now this just makes me really, really annoyed that I didn't do any of like this kind of stuff.
Because I mean, it's simple, it's kind of obvious, but that's like, I don't know, that gave me a little bit of chill right there.
They read it, it's like, what did he say? He said keep cutting. Okay. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Whoa. Imagine just doing the surgery and the patients are laughing at you.
Look, everybody, point and laugh at this loser.
Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking, why did you injure yourselves? Are you stupid? Why did you rip out your own gut? And why do you want the gas again? Are you stupid? Only one response was given.
I must remain awake.
All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them.
Kill them.
The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects.
There we go.
The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled.
We're making super soldiers here. It's basically like Case animatronics without the animatronics part.
Truly. Instead of cool, funny toys, there are people who rip their own guts out.
And shat and bit someone's...
In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going to be back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point, all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might. First left, then right, then left again, for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off the pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired to the EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined unexpectedly. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death. before
Brain
returning
death,
to
yeah.
normal. As they focused on the paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut. At the same moment, his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped.
Experiment in my sleep so much they thought I was Russian. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. Its brain waves showed the same flatlines as one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things! Not with you! He screamed at the man strapped to the table. Where are you? He demanded. I must know! The subject smiled.
Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. We are you.
I'm him.
We are the madness. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to be like creepy with it. It's like, I'm him. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into that octaval heaven where you cannot tread. The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out. So nearly free.
This dialogue isn't in Russian. This sucks. It was good, but I'm not too sure about that last statement. The ending, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about that. I get it, but like, I don't know. That was the Russian sleep experiment. You know what? I'm happy that we got one that's arguably pretty good.
It's decent. There's obviously a lot to criticize, I think, but compared to so many other creepypastas of the era, it's pretty solid, quite frankly.
I think what I really enjoyed about it is just the fact that it's a document on what happened. It's not like I did this and then I did that and then I was put into the glass and I started to be crazy, then they did that. That's the one thing I do appreciate, that it's a document of an event that happened instead of a story that one person is telling. But yeah, so if you want to read the Russian sleep experiment yourself, I will leave a link in the description. If you have any creepypastas you want us to read, also leave a comment down below. But for those of you guys who are watching on the second channel, thank you guys so much for watching this. Class dismissed!